Welcome back, everybody, to Pinoy Crossover. Marky Mark. We were looking at the Raptors. The Raptors are doing well, but some issues have come across to the team. Let's talk about the Raptors.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're big followers of the Raps, but before we get to the issues in general, what have you seen so far about the Raptors? What have you noticed, or what have you liked so far about their season?
I love that, like, they don't have to rely on one person. Like, it's always a new person every night. Like, last night, like, Van Vliet, like, killed it. He, like, stepped up to the game, but, like,
Big
Siakam
game.
has, like, been helping so much. And it's nice to know that, like, younger players can have an impact, and it's not just, like, a one-player team, like, where the Lakers are, like, always LeBron, you know? And it's nice to, like, see that it's all around.
And for me, it's just, okay, the big player, Kawhi.
Oh, yeah.
Kawhi is such a player that you can't keep your eyes off him. Like, when he touches the ball, you're already calm. You know he's going to make a good decision, and he plays both ends of the court, and it's so refreshing to see someone like that.
And it's good to see, I mean, that they have a star that they can rely on. Plus the fact that they don't have to fully rely on him until he's needed, like a game where he has to take over or has to have an isolation play. But other than that, they have, Van Vliet that you mentioned stepped up on Lowry's behalf, and then DeLon Wright as well. But in terms of how the Raptors are set up right now, what have you noticed in terms of, their back, their front court with JV's injury? Or Ibaka recently had an injury with the thigh. Like, how resilient do you think the backcourt is with Siakam and with even Greg Monroe stepping up? Do you think they should worry about JV's injury? Do you think they should worry about the front court having all these kinds of injuries?
Well, I think, like, the game nowadays, like, is not so reliant on, like, centers or, like, big guys. Like, it's more of, like, a guard, like, power forward type of game. So we never really relied on them to begin with. Like, yeah, they were helpful, but, like, if we have big guards like Kawhi and, like, players like that, like Siakam, who's, like, super athletic on both ends, like, I don't think it's that big of a deal that he's out, Like, I feel like sometimes he, like, does more harm to us than good, but, like, like, sometimes he steps up, but otherwise, not so much.
Yeah, and I think the pace is different too, especially when
different.
Yeah, they play different. Everyone plays pretty fast, and everyone, like, when Siakam, he can get the rebound and he's on the other side of the court.
Down
he's
the
quick.
floor.
Yeah.
So I feel like you mentioned, like, we don't give a lot of possessions to JV. Honestly, I feel like most of his points are like from tip-ins or like from like a give and go. It's not like when he's set up.
Or pick and roll.
Exactly. So I feel like we'll miss their presence in terms of, like, physicality, but I don't think it'll be a big decrease to, like, the performance. Yeah.
I mean, speaking of that game that they had yesterday when they were down, I think 19 and they came back all the way to win it. What does he think that says about the team in general in terms of how they play, or how even that? Not without Kawhi, without Ibaka, without Lowry, and without JV. What does that say about a team that can come back from a 19-point lead?
I think it just, like, says a lot about, like, kind of like the leadership. Like, it's interesting. Like, it's a very, like, young dynamic, but, like, they're super well. Like, they do super well at, like, coming back, like, from, like, regardless whether it's injuries, like injuries now, or like being down, like, they keep coming back, and it's just like we've always been the underdog, and I think that's, like, actually helped us in a way. Like, we're always, like, looked down upon, but, like, we always rise to the occasion. So, like, hopefully that transfers to the finals, but, like, we'll see.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we always have that underdog mentality, like the Christmas snub last year, like making like we're not performing as well in the playoffs, and I feel like just all that, like, that perception of the Raptors, let's not give the Raptors real credit, is something that the whole, like, organization knows about, and then they all play together when it comes to time. And plus, Nick Nurse is really great at, like, the team cohesion, together, and him defending Kawhi. Obviously, do you want to do anything to defend Kawhi? But I think you can sense that he's more, I guess, he can bring the team together as a coach. Yeah.
And when you guys mentioned about, having that underdog mentality, and I think they built that culture, and the kind of players that they have this season and they put together are all basically coming from an underdog kind of personality.
Yeah.
Van Vliet betting on himself, DeLon, a lot of these players are like, even Lowry was an underdog if you really think about it. He wasn't getting playing time to begin with. Kawhi was an underdog, third pick. No one, Spurs was the only team that believed in him. So that mentality isn't in them. So I can see why they're resilience when they're playing and they're down with players and then down with points, and they came back and having that big win. Where do you see them, like, coming into, like, the season? Can they keep this up? Can they keep this kind of do you think we should worry about the injury because they're having so many injuries that's upcoming right now with the players?
I mean, I think right now, like, it's okay to have injuries. Like, it's better to have it now than later in the season. Like, I think we should just worry about, like, keeping this, like, togetherness and not, like, obviously, like, blowing out of proportion, like, getting your egos too big. Like, but I think that like, really won't happen for a team like ours. Yeah. But I think we just need to, like, focus on, just keeping everyone healthy eventually. And then, like, just not worrying so much about, like, what's ahead and, like, what we have, like, right in front of us.
Mm-hmm. I think this current state of the Raptors, or even Toronto in general, with the Maple Leafs, and then just Toronto Raptors, is a good time for sports. And I feel like it's we've been also lucky because we've had like Siakam's a steal for sure, and then Boucher on the Raptors development league.
He's just there.
Yeah.
He's just there, and we can just bring him up. And he played a couple of minutes too. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the Raptors are in a good spot, and I think it's just all about focus now. And I think they know that they have to perform well because that Kawhi lingering in their back of their head too. Like we need him to stay somehow. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, with the stats and like they do well without Kawhi too. It's like a double edge. Like they want to play their best with Kawhi and they want to play their best without Kawhi, so that they can obviously like make Toronto proud and get as far as we can. Because this run is like. It could be the run.
It could be
our
run.
It could.
This is the crazy thing.
You don't want to jinx it, but like it really could be.
Yeah. That's what I was about to ask you guys. So with the team, the way it's set up now, the way that they have, do you think there's sort of a missing piece, or do we need to trade or add anybody on this team right now, or is this the team that we should just stick with till the end of the season?
No, we should stick to it, no doubt. Like, and especially like whatever's going on in the West. Like the West is so out of proportion. Like Golden State is playing like trash right now. Like I love Golden State. Well, like mostly I love Klay Thompson, but like they're just playing so bad. And I think we should like our momentum's just bringing like that whole team down. So we should just keep that up.
Just the fact when we faced Golden State and we slapped them. Like
without Kawhi,
it kind of sent like that message throughout the league. And I feel. Like I said, it could be our year. It could be our year, and the city would go crazy if we were to even go to the finals or win these. Like, it's just just think about it.
Yeah, it's different. It's like we have a whole country behind us, like behind one team.
A big pressure. Do you think that you think that's the biggest reason why players like Lowry or DeRozan kind of shambles through in the playoffs? Because the fact that it's not just Toronto that's like watching them, and like the pressure is just not just Toronto, it's the whole Canada itself. Do you think that affects them in the way they play, or is it just like them in general? Like
I think it was just them in general. I think like with the whole like I don't know. I feel like the whole situation was like he just needed to go. I think like DeRozan had like he couldn't like progress like being in Toronto. Like he needed someone like higher up to
take it
like
in a different level.
Like I think he just needed like people like more vets to like look up to and like learn from. So like I think that was okay, like letting him go, but like having Kawhi, I think like this is like better for him to have like a whole country behind him and like build his foundation here. So like I think that'd be good.
And I think we do see a different side of Kawhi now that he's in the Raptors. Like he's talking a bit more. He's more in the media. Like he's definitely different.
More in the media.
He's definitely different. Like from the Kawhi you see in San Antonio. But I think Toronto Raptors can do it, but there's going to be some formidable foes. Like Giannis is like.
That's what I was going to mention.
That's the thing. It's only in the East though. Like once we get past the East, I think we're fine.
Yeah.
But who in the East do you think would be a matchup that might be a nightmare for the Raptors if they do face them in the playoffs that can give them like a hard time?
I don't know. There's like multiple. Yeah, I feel like Giannis could be one, or then like Boston. Like Boston's like quiet right now, but like like they could always step up. Like especially Kyrie. He's always been like in that situation.
Which is scary. Like you don't know if Boston is not. It's not where they expect it to be, but I think once they kind of just make the playoffs, they have veterans that already have been in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And Kyrie that have won a championship. And that's tough. Like when they know that in the playoffs, they play differently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like regular season is like regular season, but once they get playoffs, like you see who's who. And like we're still so young, but like, you know, like you never know.
Yeah. I really think Milwaukee is like a team that we should really be scared of, because when we face them, like we can't really.
Who guards him?
Yeah,
it's because the way they constructed their team was just to Giannis is their main guy and then shooters.
Yeah, I mean that's so effective.
Yeah.
They opened the lane for him, like you can't help on him, and he's just gonna take you one-on-one. You can't have nobody that can guard him one-on-one because he's strong, he's lengthy, and then everyone that's around him shooter, even their center. Brook Lopez was just shooting threes on us, and we faced him. So I think that could be a nightmare for us.
And it could
if
be
they
the
do.
battle of the MVPs. Like I know Kawhi Leonard was in the race too. Like I feel like they're talking about Kawhi being an MVP, and then they're talking about Giannis being like, and he wants it too, right? So I think it'll be an interesting matchup for sure.
I'd say so too.
All right, so I think. Oh, the time went by fast. Like we just kept on talking, and that's how
We can
fast the
keep going
episode.
with the Raptors. Yeah.
But since we're gonna end here, any shout outs we'd like to give? Camille, any shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, shout out to my mom and then my parents, my dad back home, you know, who's with my brother, and Blair. That's it, really.
There it is. Mark, any shout outs?
And just shout out to our fans that continues to follow us, comment, like us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, at Pinoy Crossover. We appreciate everything that you guys have done for us, because without you guys, we wouldn't have a show like this and all these discussions.
Yep, that's right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hey, stay ballin'.